Nvidia reported their earnings after the bell, and it was a smash hit, sending the stock higher in after hours. And actually, if we just take a quick look in terms of the 4 o'clock close, since posting at the time of recording this video, we were up 5% after hours, which doesn't sound like a massive percentage move for a stock. But when you think about the fact that this is a massive, massive over $5 trillion company, you're talking about a really big amount of money flooding into the technology system. Now, it's not just Nvidia, but also, of course, semiconductors as a whole. My semiconductor trade is looking pretty nice here after hours. I've been sitting in this trade for a little bit, so it's nice to see this one back in the green. But overall, if we take a look at technology stocks as a whole, just take a look at the NAS 100, and on the daily chart, you can see we put in what seems to be, for now, a pretty solid bottoming point. With this sort of engulfing candle taking place today, with the follow through on the start of this day, we'll see how things go from here. Now, are we out of the woods just yet? And is it time to rush back into tech stocks and risk assets at this time? Well, let's do some technical and fundamental breakdowns, and I'll continue to defend while I think the AI trade is not only alive and well, but can continue to push back towards those all-time highs, perhaps if not by end of year, perhaps into 2026. So with that said, let's take a look first at the technicals of the Nvidia chart quickly. So Nvidia, we're looking at a daily candle, and you can see the after hours move is sort of not showing here because we don't have extended hours showing. But if we look at this, you can see that ultimately it seems for now the bulls are holding support around 180. Now, of course, you may not trade Nvidia, but it is a really important stock in the stock market. And while Nvidia is doing well, we have other really big companies like Meta not doing so hot. But it's a mixed bag because you also have things like Google doing phenomenal and actually moving higher after hours as well, probably in sync and in sympathy to the Nvidia move. So when we look at tech stocks, I think we have, at least for now, a constructive bottom to what has been a recent pullback. So what am I looking to do with it? Well, I showed you I'm already long tech stocks through the ETF SMH, but I am looking to also add back into a NASDAQ trade if I can get a constructive setup. There's two setups that I'm looking at, and you can see the white line that I'm showing you as two kind of key spots for me on this chart. Now, specifically, if we line up our Fibonacci retracement from the high of this recent pullback to the low, you'll see that it lines up perfectly with that white line, the 38.2% retracement. This is where I think the bears, if they're going to hold this recent sell-off, would probably give it a shot to go lower. Somewhere between this 38 and 50% retracement zone. This is where I would say if the bears are going to get strong and kind of smack down this rally in AI hype, it would probably be around this area. So I've marked it on my chart as a white line for the purpose of essentially saying, can we get neck and shoulders above this area? If we can solidly close above this tomorrow, it'll be game on for me. What I mean by that is I'll be looking to buy any sort of dip in the NASDAQ, anticipating that the longer term trend is still very much intact. If you've watched my channel, you know I'm still very bullish on tech stocks. I have several in my portfolio across, I guess, my couple portfolios. But in terms of an active trade for the NASDAQ, that's what I'd be looking for in terms of a short-term bullish breakout. If we can get a solid break above, I'm looking for pullbacks and moving higher. Now, if this fades and we move lower, my next long attempt as well would also be this October 10th low. Now, this obviously looks way less likely, but could still theoretically happen if sellers do get strong in this area. If we get a push down to the 24,1000 level or so, just a push back to that October 10th low, I may also look to take a stab on the long side, depending on how tomorrow's NFP jobs data comes out. Let me show you something else that really matters as to why I feel this convicted with, well, not just feel, but why my system tells me to stay bullish on the NASDAQ. Now, if you've watched my channel for a while, you know what this is. This is the Edge Finder. The Edge Finder is our market screening software that looks at technicals, institutional activity, market sentiment, economic growth signals, jobs market data, and inflation. Now, of course, warning on this, tomorrow we have the NFP report. I will be streaming for that event, so make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll be talking about setups as that goes down. Right now, most of our indicators still favor bullishness for tech stocks. Now, again, not only did we just get a bomb of a strong, well, I shouldn't say bomb, maybe, a good bomb, right? A bomb of an earnings report in terms terms of Nvidia in a positive way. We had a really good earnings report. That is, just another kind of check in the box for the AI trade, that it still seems to be alive and well, despite the many, many people claiming, tech is in a bubble, it's going to blow up. That's almost the popular thing to say. I can show you that with some of our economic or sentiment indicators. I've referenced this quite a few times in my live streams. Investor sentiment is still very poor, meaning many people are still very bearish on this market and have missed out most of the rally this year. You can see for most of this year, going back all the way from April, if we actually broaden this out, people have been incredibly bearish on this market. Let me show you what sentiment looked like in March and April. You can see it is a wall of worry, quite literally, that the market ultimately climbed aggressively during. So as I see market sentiment still very negative, this gives me more confidence in looking for the upside moves and breakouts or discounts in stocks that I like / the overall index itself. So I'm watching sentiment as we go into the next few weeks. Tomorrow we'll get another AAII investor sentiment survey as well as the NFP report. Just a quick look at the put to call ratio. I think things are kind of looking interesting on this front as well, if this would load. So looking at this, you can see that we've recently just come off of some very high bearish sentiment, though, like I said, I still think it's right around the corner. We've seen a lot of pessimism in this market, and everybody, it seems, at least on social media, seems to be calling for an AI bubble. And what is so interesting about this is that we very well may be in a bubble, right? The AI spend is crazy. The expectations for AI are very, very high, and I get that. But when everybody is calling something a bubble, there's a good chance that we may not actually be at the end of it. Why? Because bubbles rely on everyone to be super confident. If everyone is doubting the rally already, there's a good chance, in my personal opinion, that the rally may not be done. I still think we could have a couple years to go on this story. And Nvidia earnings showing essentially strength out into 2026, to me, still kind of paints a positive picture. We beat earnings substantially for Nvidia. And so I'm not saying that we're going to get a straight line moonshot back to all-time highs. I'm just saying that I think that dips for me are still going to be based on my systematic approach and technical analysis, opportunities to buy that dip. As we recapture the 50-day moving average, I'm looking for a possibility to head up, retake that 20 period moving average as well as a possible bullish area or any retest into the 50. Or I like the idea of even a 100-day retest. I actually really like that setup if we were to get, another swoop down lower just to kind of flush out a little bit more of the pessimism in this market, or maybe the soft hands, weak hands, whatever you want to call them out there. But again, systematically, I still like the setup. The Edge Finder still looks solid for NASDAQ and S&P 500, as well as, at least it was, Russell as well. So I like the indices. We also have some seasonality that still looks good. I know I've referenced this many times. And while seasonality is not perfect, it is generally still bullish into end of year for indices. Now, I do also want to just quickly touch on the cousin of the risk on rally, which is, of course, Bitcoin. And it's been nasty out there for the Bitcoin crowd. Where is Bitcoin? Am I just missing it here? Hold on. There it is. Bitcoin's been nasty. Bitcoin has been absolutely either giving us a huge warning about this market or decoupling from the market by itself. And it's hard to say which one it is. Bitcoin is dropping like a rock despite the tech stocks rallying here today. What we can see here on Bitcoin is that it actually did move higher in sync with this, but there's no rest here. There's no breaks, it seems like, for the crypto crowd. We are still seeing a lot of pessimism in this market, and looks to me like continued forced selling. What I mean by that is people who are leveraged getting kind of flushed out or wiped out in this market. So when it comes to Bitcoin, I'm still very cautious and would like to see price action flip bullish. By the way, if you're not already using the Edge Finder, our Black Friday sale is alive and well. It's our biggest discount of the year. And if you are serious about your trading, I highly recommend you take a moment to at least consider the Black Friday discounts that we're running right now. They are the lowest prices that we do all year on our software. And if you do not have access to these tools, just fair warning, we do plan on, as we have over the years, continuing to raise prices on this product. It is a big project for us internally. We spend a lot of time, energy, money, resources in building these sorts of tools for the average everyday trader, and we're going to continuously make them better. That being said, you get lifetime access. That means one-time payment for access, and it is currently 40% off. Like I said, it's the biggest discount that we do each year is our Black Friday super sale. It is store-wide, so you can also grab access to the VIP Signal service if you don't have access to that. If you want to trade alongside myself, I talk a lot of stuff on these videos, but if you want notifications when I actually take trades, you can get those. Now, I will tell you right now, I'm not always right. I've recently gone through a little bit of a drawdown myself. And, maybe this is your opportunity to buy the dip, because usually I actually see a lot less people signing up to join VIP memberships or get Edge Finder when my trades aren't going as well, which I don't think is coincidence. I think it's, people tend to want to chase what's working, and and ultimately, nothing works all the time in trading. But what I found over the years that has worked very, very well for me is stacking data in our favor and building logical trade plans, good risk management, and relying on Edge to take us to the promised land over many, many repeated iterations. If you are not a member of our Discord, I would love to meet you. I'd love to have you in the group. I'm looking for real traders to join us on this journey, and I hope that you'll consider it. I would love if 10 years from now, you and I are still trading together inside of the Discord channel. And believe it or not, we have several people who have been in the group for years who I have gotten to know. And some people I've actually met in person over the years with inside of our VIP group. So consider both. If you want access to our tools, if you want to join the VIP group, we'd love to have you in there. And let's make 2026 a great trading year. But before then, we got to end out strong. Again, the AI trade looks strong to me still. I'm looking to buy dips. I'm looking to buy break and retests. I'm staying with the trade for now, of course, with managed risk. I'm not leveraging. I'm not going full tilt all in on the NASDAQ or, longing Bitcoin. In fact, just back to Bitcoin for just a quick second. My thought process on Bitcoin is that I'm not really a buy and hold and forget crypto hodler. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who are that kind of person. And to be honest, a move like this might be giving you a long-term buy the dip opportunity that you like. For me personally, people have asked me, Nick, are you getting in on the crypto world? Are you buying dips? I've got people that I know texting me, hey, are you buying the crypto dip? And the answer for me is no, I'm not. And it's not because I hate cryptocurrency. It's not because I have a strong, case to say that I think it's going to zero. I think that is a really hard thing to do. The public eye has deemed some value in cryptocurrency, and I'm not one to say that that's completely invalid. That being said, I personally like to invest in stocks. I like to invest in commodities that I understand and feel that I have a better understanding of. Now, as a trading vehicle, Bitcoin is wonderful. And so I am actually very closely watching Bitcoin. I'm looking for this downward channel to break bullish. If that happens, there very well may be a trading opportunity for me on this. I've traded Bitcoin for years now. It's one of my favorite things to trade. But from an investing standpoint, I don't really trade it I don't really just buy and hold any cryptocurrencies. I have in the past for, suspended position trades, but never sort of a buy and hold forever type of crypto person. Again, nothing against it. It's just I prefer to stay in my lane, which I understand more of, which is stocks, options, commodities, indices. I just feel I have a much better understanding of those things from a longer term time horizon. That being said, I have one other thing to point out in this video. The dollar index is sensitive tomorrow to what happens with the jobs data. If we get a jobs data point that is really strong, what does it do to the rest of the market? It's actually quite difficult. I think if we have a strong NFP report, the dollar goes up. That's an easy one. I think if you have a strong jobs report, it probably sends gold and silver down. But what does it do to stocks? Well, this one's hard for me because on one hand, the stock market is a little bit worried about the jobs market in the sense of the economy hurting. But on the other hand, the stock market wants rate cuts. So if rate cuts get slashed, by, or the probabilities for rate cuts get slashed because we see a really strong dollar in response to a strong jobs print, could the stock market move lower on strong jobs tomorrow? Very possible. In fact, I think this market right now is more sensitive to wanting rate cuts than the labor market hurting a little bit further. So I would actually argue that what you want tomorrow from an NFP report is not too hot, not too cold. If you see a really strong jobs number, the stock market may actually tumble a little bit and see some downside in the short term as people worry about rate cuts. Because again, especially certain aspects of this economy, certain aspects of this market, like the Russell and the Dow Jones, these things that are sensitive to interest rates, very well could take a tumble if the dollar breaks out higher. That being said, if you get weak jobs numbers, let's say really weak jobs numbers, what does that do to the market? Well, I think certain aspects like Russell and NAS could actually move higher. But if it was really, really weak, they're probably all moving lower. So it's sort of a not too hot, not too cold. Let's say that this is sort of our jobs. If we get jobs coming in somewhere like here or somewhere here, somewhere here, meaning let's say this is good, let's say this is bad, let's say beyond this point is very, very good. Well, let's use a different color than that so you can see it. Very, very good or very, very bad. These situations, stocks, in my view, likely plummet. Anywhere in between, stocks I think will do okay. So that's my personal take as we go into NFP report tomorrow. I will, of course, be streaming that event, and I hope to see you there. Like I said, don't forget, take advantage of the Edge Finder discount right now. It's the biggest one all year. All the information can be found in the description down below. We'll see you tomorrow for NFP.